I am glad to be back again at home here in AIC Milimani and to join you, the fellowship of men. When the invitation was extended to me and your senior pastors called me, spoke to me briefly, I readily accepted. I said, you don't need to plan too much for me. You just tell me, and if the schedules agree, you don't have to negotiate. But he said, you are being welcomed by the leadership of men's fellowship in our church. Now, what has intimidated me is the topic. And I was asking myself, what did they think about it when they brought about this topic? But what comforted me is the scripture you chose. Actually, the subject, and then the topic itself is better, but the subject given on the impact of globalization on man is a very deep subject that requires a full lecture. Professor can tell you, it can take the whole course, and you can hand grade it for master's degree or whichever. But I'm going to, because I'm speaking in the light of the scripture, then that makes it easier for me to approach it. And I am glad to join you this evening. And as the pastor said, I'm going to speak to you from three dimensions. Devotionally, I want to share with you from the heart of a pastor for fellowship as a Christian. The second part, I want to speak to you from this topic socially, societal, true, factual experience that man has had in a period of the last 100 years. The losses and the gains in making of a man in our society today. I will also combine with intellectual scholar. I'll give you from a very scholarly level that you are able to interact with me in the world of intelligentsia. That is, interact in the world of academia, which talks about research. And you are able to go back and use the notes to further understanding this particular topic and whatever that will come from my speech tonight. You are able to expand it. It will be easy for you to reach various places. I will want to speak from experience. I want to speak from my interaction with society and the preaching of the gospel of Jesus Christ, participating in social change for the last 50 years. I spoke my first message in 1974 on the July 12th. I remember how much I sweat when I spoke that time. And since then, I have not come down from the pulpit to date. I rose from a lower cadre, from a Sunday school teacher in the church. I became a choir master at one point. I was a local church secretary, and I rose through rank and file to become the chief executive in the church as a national leader, and brushing shoulders with the great and with the low. And I have interacted with society. With that experience, I'm going to share the message tonight. And therefore, I will not be booked to the book, but I will share my experience with this truth together with you. Thank you so much for trusting me, and thank you so much for giving me the privilege to share this word with you tonight. I know we are limited by time. I am practicing from two spiritual dimensions. The preacher's point of view, where you become a preacher. I'm trying to minimize and give you a flavor of a teacher with spiritual and apostolic authority. You can tell that, Pastor, because I will be speaking in some areas with some sort of spiritual authority, and you will forgive me for that, and so on. And then finally, I will also temper it with leadership. And I think as I conclude, you will tell it where I was, because I will not come back again to that introduction. The topic tonight is an age-old topic that has been handled by many preachers in history and in the movement of Christianity in the recorded history, in the book of Genesis. Reading that book of Genesis, you listen to the words of God where he asked the question to this young couple in the Garden of Eden, and he asked Adam, "Where are you?" That is the topic today. I will give you a very detailed yet summary theological interpretation of the question, "Where are you?" and how it has been interpreted by the Hebrew language and how it is associated with some of the statements in the Bible, and then why we believe it means what it says today. I am trying to address this topic in the light of the subject you have introduced, called globalization and man. Globalization is not an event. Globalization is a process which has had an impact in increasing interaction. That's number one. Number two, interdependency between people all over the world. It has brought interdependency in areas of economics. And then the final one, and why it is important in this topic, is cultures and traditions all over the world. Some of the things that has really gave movement of globalization as its process of interaction with societies all over the world, some of the components that has made it reach the whole world with a lot of attraction and acceptability are essentials to human survival. It includes and not limited to goods, services, finances or resources, and capital. It also includes human resource, people across the world, and above all is what you don't touch it, but yet it moves, and that is ideas, thoughts that impact and changes a people. These things works across borders. This leads me to the second question: when did globalization start as we know today? It started in early 1900, and it was realized. It was realized by 1914 and concretized after at the beginning of World War I and World War II. It was driven by industrial revolution. It was driven by industrial revolution in different stages that took place. So I just wanted to give you in a very simple way that industrial revolution impacted in the world in several dimensions for some of you who have heard about it. When we were taking a cup of tea, the elders were asking me, what are these stages of industrial revolution? We are in the fourth stage today, the digital one, with the 3 dimension of big data, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence. I think this once it has reached the peak, the words of Albert Einstein will be true when he said technology will reduce humanity to idiots. And in our last meeting, you remember I told you, remember how we have almost becoming idiotic in our houses. When we go home, arrived from our busy schedule of the day, and you find yourself as a father, you are seated in a corner with your laptop, continuing with the work you had in the office, maybe, or you are just enjoying yourself by the social media. Then your son is rushing to his own room, and you check on the window and you see the light is blue. That means he's accessing the internet. And so is your daughter. And because we are typical African society, mama is the one cooking in the kitchen. And she has the power of multitasking. He will have his smartphone on this corner, and then cooking on this side, and then singing at the same time. And no one is interested with anyone. We are all together at home, but isolated by technology. Everybody is in his corner. And I long for those days we used to come home and we are able to talk and interact and really tell the tales of the day, but now phones are isolating us. And a story is told, I don't know whether you have an experience of that nature, that a family was surprised the other day that one of them, one of the children, during that age, teenagers, began to be isolated while they are together with the family, and soon that child became lonely in the midst of parents, has a father, has a mother, has sisters, and has brothers, and has affluence. They got money. Yet the boy committed suicide. One of the greatest challenges of our time, an impact of technology and globalization, is that it tends to isolate people from people. You are in the midst of many people, and yet you are alone. But we are not the same. Of women and men, women are more social because creation and the economy of God's creation on the part of women or female, it has given them an attitude and a sense of ownership of others because of rearing of children. There is an inhead, what we call inherent instinct, that drives them to people, and they want to associate. And you find that women do very well by creating communal approach to life. And they meet, they share, and they are not ashamed to share even difficult situations they are going through. In the service of the church, pastor will tell you, more women than men come and ask you for an opinion on how to deal with the problem they are confronting as a family. It's only that we don't tell you, because ethically, we are the grave of the secrets of Christians. We know a lot, and you don't imagine how much we know. We really know, and we know even serious ones. But we are bound by ethical oath of secrecy. Do you know some men are no longer leading their families, but institutions are leading on their behalf? Or certain individuals are leading, either your mother or your father, directly or indirectly, your brother, or lucky when they are led from the church. Because spiritual leaders will always drive couples towards each other. There is no pastor who is called of God and who is truly a pastor who will advise a family to separate. He will always guide them towards the center. Nobody may tell you, but these women look for leadership and guidance. They can ask even the professor. They can ask someone who is... So they are open. Due to that, they feel they have a sense of belonging. And majority of them do cry when they are in pain. But the man is silent. And that is why we are thanking the church for arranging for such meetings, so that we can speak to you, the very private human being, that you may burst yourself out into society. And I want you to thank these men who are very courageous, decided to join us in the meeting. The reason why others are not here is not because they are not listening, but thanks to technology. They are in a very private place. Some of them did not go home. They are listening to me from their offices because they don't want to show anyone that they listened to us. But thank God they are listening. Give them a hand wherever they are. So I don't want to go too much to globalization in areas of economy, in areas of various cultures, in areas of ideas, but I want to narrow it so that I don't shoot in different dimensions. I want to limit it to the impact of globalization on man. I'm discussing two sexes in the world, biologically, as defined by Donald Trump. There are many things I may not agree with President Donald Trump, but there are so many things I agree with him. By the way, I am so biased that I say the best gift God gave us in the world was to interrupt the world by giving us Donald Trump. I'm not popular about that, but I want to tell you, I believe in it. We needed a man so insane and so mad that he can really change things in the world, at least to give us time to prepare for the second coming of Christ. If there is anyone who is being asked to go home and go their home, then why are you disappointed? Home is home. West, east, home is best. If you are told to go to Africa, come on, come home. We enjoy the sun 12 months in a year. This is a warm environment. We don't suffer these glaciers of snow and putting on clothes and really staying in-house for 7 months as if you are in jail. Come to Africa, where you can walk on foot throughout the day and you are safe. Anyway, if there is anything that this gentleman did, the best was to define the two sexes.